At Marytown, Dominic had wanted to start a magazine, Immaculata magazine, and so I forgot to mention that when our Marytown was still in Crystal Lake, Dominic had purchased all kinds of printing equipment, linotypes. I think there was one linotype and a couple of printing machines and so forth. He had basically purchased the equipment necessary to publish a magazine, and so all of that was taken up from Crystal Lake to Kenosha, and I still remember riding on a truck full of all of that equipment from Marytown in Crystal Lake, and we set it up in the garage, and then later we added on to it. And as I began to say previously, Father Cyril one day said, "Bernard, wouldn't you like to be a priest?" He says, "Because I need you to send you to Marquette University in Milwaukee, to the journalism school there, because we need someone to be an editor for the magazine." Well, in the meantime, I was already an acting editor because Dominic had gotten hold of a man by the name of Stephen Breen to be the editor of the magazine. And Breen put together the first issue, and I was the linotype operator because we didn't have offset at that time. We had a letterpress, and so a linotype machine used hot lead to make slugs with the letters on it, and then the press would print from those lead slugs, which were put in what is called a chase and locked up so that you could pick the chase up and the slugs would not fall out. So in any case, I was the linotype operator, but Breen, he had his own kind of operation going, so he was in and out. He was the editor, but I was basically the acting editor, because he wasn't there. And I had, when I was in high school, St. Joe's High School in Beatrice, I had been the editor of our high school paper and the editor of our yearbook. And so naturally, I was entrusted with the idea of taking over what Breen should have been doing but wasn't doing. Well, then Cyril said, "We've got to send you to Milwaukee so that you know what you're doing," because I was starting to write stuff and didn't really know what I was writing. And so he said, you have to learn some real theology instead of the stuff you're writing, and so on. So basically that's what happened. I let go of my position as acting managing editor, and that was taken over by Brother Francis Cavalich. And that's another story which we won't go into. But I started hopping on the North Shore Electric Railroad, and that would come from Chicago through Kenosha and on to Milwaukee, and ride that train all the way to Milwaukee, and then get off the train and walk about 4 blocks or so up to Marquette University, where I enrolled in the journalism school and began a 4-year course in liberal arts, journalism, and such theology as you get in a college course. I graduated in '56, and Cyril had said, I can pull some strings and get you into the Collegio Serafico in Rome, where you can get a degree in theology. And so that's how I ended up in 1956. I ended up in Rome in the fall at the old Collegio Serafico, and started my course in theology.